Yeah, I think there's been probably too much emphasis on what people know, and obviously that's important. Do you know how to develop a strategy or a marketing plan or align an organization or motivate people? But I don't think we spend enough time looking at the drivers of that, which is the character. And I think increasingly in top leadership roles, people do focus on that, much more than what they know. It's more, who is this person? But I think that has to be drilled much further down into the organization. It's often done in the entry level, just in some organizations, but then it's more on how good someone is at their job, results. And I think you have to have that. To me, it's like performance and health. Health is the character side of it. You need both to make sure you're building good leaders. I think those organizations that generate a lot of leaders do that. If I look at, Charlie Ellis has a very good book on what it takes, and he's looked at 5 or 6 organizations. You look at the Mayo Clinic, the Capital Group, which is an investment firm, Cravath's, the law firm. It's worth looking at those. General Electric, I think, has been known for this. They really focus on leadership. I think Goldman Sachs, particularly when they were a partnership, they knew what a Goldman leader is or was and what they expect. I think they still do that, but I think there was even more emphasis then. And so I think those organizations that have been around for a while, J&J, very strong focus on a broader sense of what leadership is, and you see it in the results. Well, I think there's a number of things students can do to kind of develop leader character. I think one is actually looking for experiences where you get it. So look for an opportunity to lead in something. And by the way, it could be the Boy Scouts. It doesn't have to be something major. It's do you working in an organization to help move it forward or distort it in a positive way? Just that experience could be part-time. So look for areas, clubs that could be, or not-for-profit type things where you can actually make a difference, because it's about building things usually. The second is to study it. One of the best sources for me in learning about leadership are biographies. I love reading biographies. You read about George Marshall, who put in the Marshall Plan. It's an amazing book on all the resilience, dealing with setbacks, his purpose, dealing with kind of odd characters that you have to, you don't get a perfect set of people that you work with. That is so rich. Franklin Roosevelt, read about him, Alexander Hamilton, Deng Xiaoping, the making of modern China, just what he went through and the stuff he was dealing with when he was trying to help modernize that country. It's amazing. So I think reading a lot is very important, and then just go meet some people. And by the way, you don't have to meet the leader. A frontline supervisor who's experienced can tell you something about leadership. We're dealing in a world now that's much more uncertain, volatile, fast-moving. So I actually think that a lot of the basics are still, that we've known before, are still there about, the competence and making rational decisions and listening to people and all of that. I think the issue that is going to be more challenging is the number of crises that you deal with. I think those are going to go way up, and you've got to get used to it. And crises are not fun to deal with, but you're going to have them more often. I think the other thing is disruptions in terms of new competitors or what consumers are demanding. So the notion of you being stable in your place as an organization, you've got many more factors than we've had before. So you have to be broad. You better be out there listening, and not just to your industry, not to usual silos. So I think there are a number of these things on volatility, handling challenges, and being much more broad-minded, and leveraging the idea that a leader can lead an organization is just ridiculous in my view. You need multiple leaders. It's leadership teams. Business has a much broader role to play in society. They do need to focus on creating great products and services, and in doing that, creating value for shareholders, private or public. But there's a broader sense, and it's actually going back to the future. That's what, if you go back to Adam Smith, he had this phrase in his book, The Theory of Moral Sentiments, that I'm simplifying it for my own mind, but it was the duty of the entrepreneur is to take care of the society in which they operate. Quite a broad-minded view. So companies are going to have to think about their trust, that they're licensed to operate in the communities in which they're operating, much broader than just even their employees, their consumers, their shareholders, the media. It's a broader sense of what are you doing to help, frankly, make the world better in your own way. And you better be thinking about that over time, because if you're too short term, you're going to miss out on some of those key stakeholder groups, and it'll come back and bite you. Probably all of my leadership thing I have to learn the hard way. I mean, I think probably resilience, because I think resilience is not fun. Resilience means you are able to deal with setbacks, and I've not seen anyone who enjoys having setbacks, but I've had a lot, and I think that's helped me. At the time, I didn't like it. I would never suggest or recommend it's the thing to do, but I think that has helped me the most, and I was very happy that it happened early in my career, because then you get used to it, and you just have to deal with it. And so I think resilience is one that's been the most important, and one that you have to learn by hard knocks. You can't read about that. One thing I would say is be ambitious, which may sound like a very selfish thing to say. I mean, by be ambitious about what you want to make happen, not for yourself, but for what you want to do. Because in this world, the individual can have much more of a distortionary effect than ever before. And we often are hesitant about, do we have the right skills? Are we in the right place? That's just nonsense. And I would just have, so I think ambition is actually quite important in the collective sense of it. So that would probably be one of the most important. Be ambitious, and by being ambitious, it means you take risk. Take risk. I don't know of a really good leader that's not taken a hell of a lot of risk over their time. You can't be a perfect leader, but no one's a perfect leader, but you can't be a really effective leader by not taking risks. So just go into places that make you uncomfortable, and you are going to grow faster.